So as I know, and I've been telling you for some time, that the Freemasons are rather stringent in their contests to defeat Christianity, and it involves, like I said, the Hell Rider not being so much of a Christian critic as a football fan, because it's like they're playing the same game, unless they can explain why their principles, which is to begin to shift more toward their epistemology, were to be made, to be put out on the public table. They don't. They'll say that they're out there. They want to be tear jerkers, but it's the beginning of the price they're paying for their own secrecy, I suppose. Is that they really don't go, oh yeah, how silly did that make us look when they announce that they're out to unite all the world's religions, or that they're made up out of a unity of the world's religions. Now, anyone who's been to a church knows that when that principle is applied even to any one religion, the result is always more denominations of that religion. So, and Christianity is possibly the best example of this, with about 30,000 different denominational sects of the Christian religion. Means that the Freemasons' claim to be uniting the world's religions just looks like a big and utter joke because of Christianity. So this makes them look to be fraudulent, and so it gives you their motive for why they would harbor a particular. See, I like to debate, and if I can succeed in falsifying and disproving metaphysical Christian claims, that's something I'll do. But wanting to practice fraud and get a person in the psych ward and drugged with $1,000 pharmacy rebate drugs, that I have no respect for. It doesn't show a battle of wits, and it points to the epistemology of the Freemasons in relation to the Christians is they're more alike, except that the Freemasons are perhaps in certain ways they're more active in the community, but without being noticed, traceable, detectable. But what I think puts them to shame is that they can't really lay a fair claim to bringing the world's religions together. Once it's brought forth what ideas they have ignored from other religions, it'll be because of vast argumentation that would lead to not a mutual agreement, but a mutual recognition of irreconcilable differences philosophically, which also then therefore points to the idea that the true and most sincere agendas of the Freemasons are concealed by this claim for them to have been made up out of some grand unifying assemblage of the core concepts of all the world's religions. Now, Gary and Roger are not stupid to the extent that they would know from the study and their insistence on Jesus as a martyr. Their studying of the Gospels, and if they've looked into Gospel dating, if they've looked into how there's a big fish story element where his teachings, or what are said to be his teachings, are more politically inflammatory for their time. Not to the point where you would think his crucifixion were just, but that might convince some people to think that it was just back then. And the best way to do that is to put words in someone's mouth after they're dead. So so where does that leave men like Roger convinced that they are catching another martyr? who models off Jesus, since they know that the teachings are dubious, that cross-examinations of the Gospels leads to more uncertainty than it does any deep conviction, much less to lend one to the claim that they know what matters and never make mistakes, is that the acts, duplicating some of the actions and activities employed for the pursuit and capture of Jesus, who his religion does not close his eyes to the endorsement of such activities, including bribery. So I'm willing to talk more about that with any interested parties, but what he thinks he's doing is catching martyrs on the basis of gospels that are inclusive of supernatural claims that all the natural laws of science now know are false. So to martyr someone for that which was not even their cause is what they're left with, and their secrecy has made them less accountable to the Commonwealth or the scrutiny of the people. So that alone, it can shed light on the phenomenology of why they both haven't progressed and changed so much since what they were originally saying about 500 years ago. Why they still think that they're right, why they think they know better than the law. They have a vendetta against Christianity, which, yeah, I'm a critic of Christianity. I'm a critic of all monotheisms. But I've already stated my position enough in these, on my YouTube channel and in writing, that without being contested to further debate. So I've already said enough about that. What we see happening in Mark is a gentle, poetic kind of man getting suicided, but from political attrition, marched up a hill and crucified. His confession not even established clearly and succinctly have even been a definitive confession in the 12th chapter of Mark, and no resurrection account in the chapter of Mark either. And both of those known to have been written first prior to Matthew, Luke and John, and for Matthew and Luke to have at least been in possession of Mark when they wrote Matthew and Luke. Now, the mere prospect that they could have been charged with treason for, suppose that an ancient monarchy's mistake was putting Jesus to death, then shame would be on them, but no scribe would ever, especially back then, have considered subjecting a kingdom to any insinuations of, words along the lines of "for shame," without fearing being charged of treason and killed themselves. So they would be thinking about what the masses needed to hear and what would keep them on good terms with the ruling class monarchy at the time. And that's all the motive that you need to understand why all these pagan stories of miraculous feats and 3-day later resurrections that are adopted out of paganism. I gotta go.